Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another bookish video. I really hope you're all well. Today we're going to be talking 5-star predictions for 2022. These are based upon my actual physical TBR rather than kind of books which are coming out in 2022. There are a few that I've got on pre-order that I will be including in this list, but yeah, the majority of books that I already own which have come out kind of some of them years ago. So yeah, this isn't just a 2022 specific predictions video. Yeah, I have honestly the most ridiculous pile of books next to me, like, oh wait, no, you can't even see. Yeah, there's a lot of books to get through, so I'm honestly just like not going to ramble for once in my actual existence, and I'm just gonna get started, you know? Some of these you'll probably recognize from recent haul videos, recent TBR videos, recent I really have to read this book because otherwise I'm gonna get really annoyed at myself kind of videos. So yeah, I'm just going to jump straight in. Okay, so the first book we have is Furyborn by Claire Legrand, and this is the first book in the, I want to say it's the Kingsbane trilogy, but I don't know if that's actually what it's called. And this follows two prophesied queens who are born centuries apart, and the fate of the first queen is like legend by the time that the second queen's born, and she doesn't know that she's queen, I think. And yeah, there's some kind of like elemental magic test, and they're having to like save the empire, and their stories supposedly interwoven. And I'm really excited. I've done a really terrible job of describing that because honestly, like, I've read the blurb about 4 times and I still haven't 100% wrapped my head around it. But yeah, I'm really excited for this one. I've wanted to read it for the longest time and I can't wait to get stuck in. Also, I really love this cover, like, it's incredible, and yeah, I'm so excited to get stuck into this. Then we have Lilac by BB Reid. So this one is a reverse harem set in like on a band on tour basically, and she's a female singer, and I think she's a singer anyway, or is she a guitarist? I'm not sure, but anyway, she's the only female member of this band and they have to go on tour, and I think she strikes up like a sexual relationship with every single member of the band, so I'm quite excited. Now, I don't know if this is a new edition or an old edition because there's 2 covers currently available on Amazon and everyone seems to have the other cover, but I really love this one. So I got kind of worried that I was going to pick it up and it would be in like a different language, and this was like, I don't know, the French cover or something, but actually it seems to be in English, so that's good. But I'm kind of obsessed, like I'm loving the guitar and everything. But yeah, I love a bit of a reverse harem, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's like my guilty pleasure when it comes to romance books, so I'm excited to get stuck into this. I love rock music, it's my vibe, so I feel like this is going to be just a very good one for me, and yeah, I'm excited to let you guys know my thoughts in some more detail because I have a feeling it's going to be a spicy one, that's all I'm going to say. Another supposedly spicy book now is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Now again, I don't actually know very much about this one. I've seen people talking about it online though, and I believe it's some kind of like stalker romance. This is a very dark and taboo romance, but people say the spice on this is incredible, and apparently it's super creepy as well, so that's why I feel like it's going to give 5-star vibes for me, just because it's very unsettling. And I mean, again, the cover is just beautiful. I think the second book's actually just been released, so I'm hoping to get to this one quite soon, so if I like the second one I can pick it up. But yeah, I'm incredibly intrigued by this book. I've never read a kind of like a stalker romance before. I honestly don't know how I'm going to feel about it because part of me feels that's just like a little bit too taboo, but then also, yeah, I'm just kind of super excited, so we'll see. But I think it's going to be a fun time. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog, I don't know. Then we have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and I think everyone pretty much knows what this one's about now, so I'm not going to waste my time giving you guys like a long synopsis, but basically it's a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in 1920 Shanghai and features 2 rival gangs. Everyone raves about this, and obviously Our Violent Ends has just come out, so I really want to enjoy this and pick up the paperback of Our Violent Ends when it comes out. So yeah, I'm so excited, and I follow Chloe on I think like every single social media platform now, and I just think she's great, so I'm just really excited to be able to support her as well. I think her journey into publishing has just been particularly interesting, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I hope that lives up to expectation because honestly I have such high hopes for that one, so we shall see. I don't know, but I'm loving it. Also, I'm sorry if this light is just a bit much. I keep like, I've got a skylight up here and it's just, I feel like it's just glaring onto my face, so like when I'm holding a book up it makes me really overexposed, so if that's annoying people, I'm sorry, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. On to one of my pre-orders now. I'm going to talk about Gallant by V. Schwab. This one, I love V. Schwab. I love probably 90% of what she's released, not like everything. I wasn't a fan of the Monsters of Verity duology at all, but I loved A Dark Shade of Magic. And I'm excited to read this one. From what I've understood from the brief synopsis I've read online, there is like a house that this girl grows up in, or inherits or something, and you can't like cross the boundaries of this house, of like the land of this. I'm doing a really bad job of this. You basically can't cross the boundaries of the land that this house is built on because there's some kind of like, I guess, magic on the other side that's threatening or something. I don't know, but I've done a really bad job of describing that. Oh my god, I don't even have my phone on me to read the synopsis out. I'm sorry. It just looks really good, okay? And I'm kind of judging it off of its cover as well because the cover art is gorgeous, so yeah. Yeah. Next up we have Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This is Sally Rooney's latest release and I just love everything this woman does. I say that, I've only actually read Normal People. I still have Conversations with Friends on my TBR for this month, but I do have a good feeling that I'm gonna like it. I don't know if Conversation with Friends is going to be like a 5-star for me, but definitely I think it's going to be at least a 4-star. This one, I don't know, it just appeals to me a little bit more with where I'm at in my personal life right now, and this is very much just like a coming of age tale about people in their 20s navigating love and relationships. Similar really to most of what Sally Rooney's written. And yeah, I just think this one's going to be just super relatable, inevitably absolutely beautiful because her writing always is, and I'm very excited. Also, I love this edition with the yellow sprayed edges. I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. The camera's not really doing it justice. There's such like a rich sunshine yellow. It's beautiful. Then we have a memoir, which is a little bit different for me, and this is Deborah Levy's The Cost of Living, and I picked this up following watching Books with Chloe's latest reading vlog, where she reads this in Ireland. And the quotes that she kind of pulled out to feature on the vlog just really spoke to me, so I went to go and pick it up because, again, I just think this is going to resonate with where I'm at in my personal life right now. And I'm just excited to read more stuff like this year. I think this is going to be the year of reading a lot more non-fiction for me. I don't know how much of that I will feature on this channel and how much of that I'm just going to keep to myself, because I think a lot of non-fiction choices are quite personal. And I think people obviously choose them because it resonates with what's going on in their life. So if it's something that you want to keep private, it's not really something to share on BookTube. But this in particular, I'm excited to read, and I probably will share my thoughts on this one. So yeah, definitely keep your eye out for that. But I feel like because of the poignancy of the quotes that have already been shared, this is just giving me majorly 5-star vibes. And yeah, I'm interested, I'm intrigued, I'm excited. And it's really pulling me to read it at the moment, so I may have to kind of abandon my carefully curated TBR in favour of some other books this month. But are we surprised? No, we're not. I have 2 books to feature now, and these are Shadow of Night and The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. These are the second and third books in the All Souls trilogy, or Discovery of Witches as people know it as. And basically the reason I'm giving these like a 5-star prediction is just because of how much I loved the first book in the series. Like, I absolutely adored it. I don't know why I haven't picked these up to read yet, because honestly I am really excited to delve back in. I'm in that kind of mindset at the moment where everything on my TBR is seeming super exciting for me, so I'm kind of like overwhelmed and I don't know which to pick up next. But yeah, these are really speaking to me at the moment. For anyone who doesn't know what A Dark Shade of Magic is about, it follows Diana, who is a reluctant witch and also a historian at the University of Cambridge, I think. And she's researching in the library one day and she pulls this book for her research, and it basically draws the attention of a lot of supernatural creatures because the book is this kind of like lost tome of magical knowledge, and then all of a sudden creatures of like every single description descend on the library where she's studying. So she kind of ends up teaming up with a vampire called Matthew, and I forgot his name then. Yeah, it's Matthew, and they have to kind of like solve, I don't want to ruin it, but they basically have to like solve the meaning behind this book. So yeah, I'm really stoked. I think this is just going to be a really great time and I'm excited. I have the Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. Now this is the original version, the self-published version. I also do want to get the traditionally published version because I read online the other day that there are some subtle changes between the two of them, and the traditionally published one I think is the one that she actually wanted the book to be. I don't know why she was unable to do that as a self-published author. I think there was some kind of reason, but anyway, I'm excited to read both because apparently that one's a lot more in depth and a lot more like nuanced than this one. But basically this follows 6 initiates who are competing against each other to become keepers of the Library of Alexandria. They're all magicians and they all have like a different kind of magic, and essentially they have to compete against each other because only 5 will be able to be like move forward as initiates. And I think there's going to be it says the 6 potential initiates will fight to survive the next year of their lives, and if they can prove themselves to be the best among their rivals, most of them will. Most of them. So obviously there's going to be, I guess, some like fights to the death kind of vibes in here. This is like a dark academia, and apparently parts of it are really good, and then parts of it are also quite heavy and quite difficult to follow. I think there's a lot of world building, and I think the magic system's quite complex in this, but I'm really excited because I do love that. Once I can wrap my head around it, I love books that just have that level of depth to them. So I'm really stoked to read this, and it's been on my TBR for a little while now, so I'm hoping I will get to it soon because I think it's going to be a really great time, and yeah, I'm excited. Next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, so another V.E. Schwab book, and this one I believe follows Addie, who makes a deal with the devil, and in return she ends up being forgettable to everybody in her life. So as soon as she meets them, as soon as they let her go, they forget about her basically, and I think then she meets somebody that actually is able to remember her. But people say that the synopsis that's given for this isn't actually representative of the novel, so I don't actually really know what this is about, because what I've got of it so far is literally from what I've read on the Dust Jacket. But I'm excited for this one. I've got the beautiful Waterstones anniversary edition. It's signed by V.E. Schwab, and it's got these beautiful end pages and the gorgeous stenciled edges, and I think it's got some like illustrations inside as well actually. Yeah. So I'm excited to read it. I read the first page of it in Waterstones and loved the first page, so I just keep needing to get to it. This is my problem, because I buy books, I get really excited about them, and then I buy more books that I get excited about, and all of a sudden I then have like a ridiculous TBR pile filled with books that I need to finish reading, but just keep getting distracted by other ones instead. I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit because there's still quite a few books to get through, and I'm very aware that I've been talking for 15 minutes at this point. So next we have 2 books that I picked up in America, so if you've seen my Barnes & Noble haul you will have seen these already, but I have King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. So Scarlett St. Clair is the author of A Touch of Darkness, which is the Hades and Persephone retelling dark romance series, which I read the first one and I loved it. I just haven't picked up the rest yet. This is apparently the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition and contains special content inside. I'm not sure what that special content is, but I'm feeling pretty excited by it. And this basically follows Isolde, who is betrothed to the vampire king Adrian, but he doesn't realise that actually she has been groomed to be an assassin since birth, so her job is basically to kill him. But her attempt to assassinate him gets thwarted, and instead he threatens her with turning her into a vampire if she attempts to do it again, which is kind of obviously her worst nightmare. So she becomes kind of married to him. She's living this life obviously with him, but all of a sudden she maybe starts to get a little bit attracted to him, and I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but that's what I picked up from the synopsis, and I don't know, it's just giving me good vibes. I love a vampire and I love a dark romance, so a vampire dark romance is pretty much like my ideal book probably. Although on saying that, I had great hopes for Black Sunshine by Karina Halley, and it did not deliver, so who knows. Then we have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, and this is like a retrospective dark academia with Shakespearean influences and twists. It follows a group of Shakespearean actors who had all been kind of like put away for murder, and I think it's told from each of their perspectives actually. Or actually no, sorry, it covers the story, but Oliver is the main protagonist, I believe. This is supposed to be brilliant, and I'm really excited to see, yeah, how they do it. There's a few books out there at the moment which have these kind of Shakespearean twists, and as I'm just actually studying Shakespeare right now, it's very much kind of like forefront in my mind, and I'm very excited to see how it's like interwoven within contemporary literature and within dark academia specifically, because I do love a dark academia. I'm looking for my next secret history, so I'm kind of hoping that this is it. We'll see though, but I have high hopes. Then we have 2 books that are just everywhere at the minute. The first one is Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is, I think, like a fake dating trope, and I think she needs somebody to attend a wedding with her, and the guy Alex, I think, goes as her wedding date, and then I believe there's some kind of like romance that obviously sparks up between them, but everybody goes crazy for this couple, so I'm hoping this gives me what I'm expecting it to give me based upon everybody else's reviews. We'll see, but yeah, I don't know, I'm interested. I'm really intrigued. I've watched kind of a few people's reactions to this book online, and everyone just seems to be going like crazy for it, so yeah, I'm curious. Then we have Jade City by Fonda Lee, which is another kind of Asian urban fantasy. This one, it says it's kind of inspired by like Hong Kong gangster stories, so I mean that's freaking cool, right? And I think this again follows two like rival gangs, and jade is kind of is it a drug? It's not really a drug, I suppose. It's used to like enhance warriors' strength and skill in battle, and all of a sudden like people who aren't warriors are able to wield it, and obviously it causes all manner of problems. So I'd imagine perhaps it's two like dealers of jade or something, and then they're like, I don't know, pitted against each other. I have no idea, but I'm excited. The setting for this one is what's kind of drawn me in and really intrigued me, and the idea of like Hong Kong gangster stories, I'm just like, ooh, okay, like that's so different from anything I've read before. I'm really excited. I think this is like shortlisted for 2 awards as well, but everyone's going crazy for this because I think the last book in the trilogy has like recently been released, so yeah, I'm excited to read it. I will definitely be picking up the second one if I enjoy this one, and yeah. Then we have Malice by John Gwynne, which is book 1 in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I think this is a 5-book series. So this is like an adult high fantasy. There's 2 prophecy champions that basically have to fight to the death. And this is like a world where there's like worms, angels, demons, men and giants. So basically it says at the bottom, the kings look to their borders and priests beg for answers from the gods, but only a chosen few know that the fate of the world will be decided between 2 champions, the Black Sun and the Bright Star, and with their coming will be a war to end all wars. I'm so excited for this. I really want to delve into like some adult high fantasy again this year. It's been a while. I want something that really just like captures my imagination and that I can get completely hooked on. So I'm hoping it's this series because yeah, it sounds amazing, but I just feel like I get let down quite often by fantasy series because I think they're wrapped up in these like amazing synopses, and then sometimes they just don't deliver. So I'm really hoping this delivers for me. Like, I really hope. Then we have Zodiac Academy. So this is the first book in a 7-part series, I think, with another book I hope on its way this year. I'm kind of waiting until the next one's, like the last one's released before I read this, because I would kind of like to read all of them in just one big chunk. But from what I understand, this particular one, this first one, follows 2 people who don't know that they're fae, or don't know that they're linked to the fae, who get kidnapped and taken to the Zodiac Academy, which is like a fae training academy, I think. I don't know if that's actually, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that is right. And apparently it says on the back, all I have to do to claim my birthright is to prove that I'm the most powerful supernatural in the world. People say this gets really emotional, and apparently the romance is great in this book, so yeah, I'm really interested. Like, yeah. I realised I did the worst job at describing this one, like the actual worst. In fact, no, I think the worst one I did was describing Gallant, but this is definitely a close second for like really bad synopses. I have another pre-order to talk to you guys about now, and I want to say it's called The War of Two Queens, but because I don't have my phone up here, I can't double check. But basically it's the 4th installment of the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Oh, I love this series so much. I think all of them so far I've given 5 stars to, and I'm hoping this one's going to be no different. Obviously, I'm not going to give a synopsis for the 4th book in a series because I don't want to spoil the rest of the series for anybody who hasn't yet read them. But basically, the first book follows Poppy, and she is the maiden, and basically the maiden cannot be touched, she cannot be seen, she's not allowed to speak to people, she's just this like silent, shrouded being, basically. And it's her job to like kind of ascend with a group of like chosen ones. But nobody really knows like what happens when you ascend. It's just this kind of like mythical ceremony that's like sold to the upper class, or like the people at like the top of society, and everyone kind of wants to ascend but doesn't really like understand what that means. But Poppy doesn't really want to be the maiden. She hates the fact that she's unable to just take part in society, so she kind of rebels against it. And she's just such a cool protagonist. Like, I really love her because she's so strong and just kind of like a badass. But then there's also Hawk, who is her guard and who is sexy as hell, and yeah, I love it. I've again done a really bad job of describing it, but there's just so much about that series to talk about, and I don't want to drop any spoilers accidentally, which is why I'm being quite vague. Like, that was a deliberate vagueness, not because I don't know about it, but just because I really don't want to spoil it for you guys by accident. But you should definitely pick up From Blood and Ash if you're just looking for like a high-paced like fantasy romance series with like a really hot main male character and like a really badass female lead. Like, I loved it. It was wonderful. Then we have another book that I picked up from America, and that one is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garbus. This is like a companion series to Caraval, which is one of my favorite trilogies ever. And this is from the perspective of like the Fates, and obviously the main character in this. And I believe she makes a deal with the Fates, and the price of that deal is 3 kisses to be redeemed whenever the King of Hearts, Prince of Hearts, sorry, feels like it. But the caveat of that is like those kisses don't have to be with him. They can be with anybody, whenever he wants and in whatever kind of circumstance he wants. So I'm really intrigued to see like where this goes. Basically, I loved the character of the Prince of Hearts in Caraval, so I'm really just intrigued to like delve back into the world and just see more of him and like learn more about him. And I've rated this one like, or predicted this one's going to be a 5-star just based upon my enjoyment of Caraval. I don't think the writing's going to be anything groundbreaking like Caraval wasn't, but it was just enjoyable. It was just a fun time, and I loved like the magic and the romanticism about it as well. Like, I don't know, it was just a really fun series to read. I really enjoyed it. So yeah. Okay guys, we're slowly getting on to the last few now. We have 5 more books to talk about. So the next and the last of the pre-orders is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas, which is the second book in the Crescent City series, which is honestly, Crescent City, like the first one, House of Earth and Blood, was my favourite book of 2020 without a doubt, and one of my favourite books of all time now. So I'm really excited for the second one to be released, and I just hope it lives up to expectations. I'm going to be so sad if it doesn't. But Crescent City is her first adult fantasy, and it's intense. Like, there's a lot of world building, there's a lot of like magic system to kind of get your head around, and I think because of that there is quite a bit of info dumping, which I know has put some people off. I loved it. I thought it was just like a great time, so I'm excited for the second one to come out. I do not want to try and sum up Crescent City because I did the worst job of summing up some of these books, even though I know them so well. The reason I don't want to sum up Crescent City is because it's so easy to accidentally spoil, and I really don't want to risk spoiling it for you guys. But all I'm gonna say is there's like fae and werewolves and like angel type creatures and like mermen type creatures, and it is just so good. So good. And there's like a slow burn romance. It's like all of the best bits of Sarah J Maas's writing just like in one book basically. And so I'm excited for the second book just to see where she takes it, you know, where the series develops to. I believe it comes out next month, which is so exciting. So I will be doing a reading vlog for that 100%, and probably one of my like separate review videos too. So make sure you keep an eye out for both of those arriving on my channel at some point soon, because yeah. Next up we have Guild by Raven Kennedy. This one is another kind of fantasy romance. This is the first in what's currently a trilogy but will be a series. I think the 4th one's being released this year. And this one I think kind of follows like the Legend of Midas basically. And I believe that the main character's been taken prisoner, and obviously she's been kept in like a gilded cage. She's gold. Everything in this kingdom's gold because Midas. And I'm not really sure like where it's gonna go, to be honest, because the synopsis doesn't really say very much, but I know a lot of people rave about this. Apparently it gets better further into the series, so although I've put this on my 5-star predictions, this one's a little bit of like a maybe it will be, maybe it won't be kind of one, but I think the rest of the series is supposed to be so good, so I'm excited to delve into it. It's only short as well, so I might try and get to this month, I think. And I think this will be one that I do a standalone reading vlog for as well, so definitely keep an eye out for that if you're curious about this series, because I know it's kind of everywhere on Booktok at the moment. I'm very excited. A gilded cage is still a prison, apparently. Last of kind of the romance and fantasy romance now, we have Savage Lands, I said Shadowlands. Savage Lands by Stacey Marie Brown, and this is a kind of, I think, a little bit like a dystopian urban fantasy romance. Basically our main character is kind of like thrown into this prison where she's like surrounded by like the dregs of society, like the worst of the fae, and I think there's some kind of like contest she has to take part in to like win her freedom. But this is set in Budapest, I believe, and yeah, it sounds really interesting. Yeah, it says it's a fight to the death where only one survives, and she seems to strike up this relationship with someone at the prison who's this like warrior legend, so I think it's going to be really good. I don't know, I've heard good things about this whole series, to be honest. I think there's like 4 books, so again I'm excited to delve in and really see what it's all about, because again I did a really bad job of summarizing this one. Like, it's fine. Okay, it's fine. This book I think is going to be quite a tough read, but I think it's going to be an amazing read. This is True Story by Kate Reid Petty. So this book I think is going to be quite a hard-hitting one. It does deal quite heavily with kind of sexual abuse on college campuses in the US, specifically kind of at frat houses and frat parties. So basically there's 3 main protagonists in this story. There's the girl Alice and there's 2 guys, and the 2 guys drive her home when she's passed out after a college party, and rumours start to spread about what happened to her at the party. She doesn't remember. One of the guys, who's like an innocent bystander, will never forget, and the tale that's told to the police is completely different to what actually happens. Apparently it's like a suspense thriller, or a horror suspense thriller. This, I don't know, I think this is going to be really a hard read. Like, it's definitely going to trigger some feelings, but I'm excited to read it because I feel like it's one of those subjects that needs to be represented more in literature. So yeah, I don't know where this is going to go or what's going to like happen, but I think it's just going to be really hard hitting, I think, and that's what I'm most excited about. It says on the back it plays constantly with genre while weaving an addictive and perfectly balanced tale. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. And the last one I actually picked up today, and this one I think is one of my most anticipated books of like all time, not even just this year, and this is To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara, who is of course the author of A Little Life, which is one of my favorite books of all time, but one of honestly the most emotionally traumatic books I've ever read. If you've ever read A Little Life, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I've read it twice and I've now said like never again. I don't think I can do it again. I don't know if this one's going to be as emotional as A Little Life. I don't know if this is going to be as difficult to read, but I'm guessing it is from the synopsis. But basically this takes place over 3 different timelines, all based in Manhattan. So there's one timeline where it's kind of talking about the representation of America as this kind of country of freedom and opportunity, and whether or not that actually exists, or if that's just kind of like a portrayal that's completely false. The second timeline deals with the AIDS epidemic or pandemic in the AIDS epidemic in New York. So that I think is going to be very, very difficult to read. And then the last timeline takes place in 2093, and we're in like a plague-ridden totalitarian society, which sounds scarily accurate for kind of the way things are kind of going at the moment. And apparently all of these different timelines interweave or have like interweaving links, which obviously, you know, you learn more about as the narrative draws on. I'm really excited to read it. I think there's going to be discussions obviously of race and sexuality. I like the idea of books that challenge the portrayal of America. For anyone who knows me, America is my favourite country in the world. I love it so much. That's definitely no shade to the States. I just don't want anyone to get offended. Like, I love that country so much. But I do get intrigued to read books that challenge the narrative of like the American dream. Because I think it's quite interesting, obviously being somebody who loves America and buys into that, but also definitely has been sold that American dream idea. If that any of that makes sense, I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this. This is a chunky book. Like, I don't think she's capable of writing anything that isn't like thick, you know. I don't know when I'm going to get to this, just purely because there's a lot of books that I want to read, and I want to actually be able to give this the time, because yeah, if it's anything like A Little Life, this is going to be a difficult one to read. So I think maybe this is one to tackle next month, or maybe this is one to tackle after my birthday. I'm going to be going back to the States in March, so I don't think I'll be travelling with that because it's like a literal doorstop. But I think it's one to definitely tackle when I'm not going to be travelling around and I've got some time to just like really, you know, absorb it, because I think it's going to be a difficult read but an amazing read. Anyway, you guys, I have now rambled for 40 minutes about books, so I'm going to stop. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what books are on your 5-star prediction list for this year. Anything that's new, anything that's not new, I would just love to hear. So definitely leave that in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video as well, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye guys.